All right, students, we're going to do our second topic, which is the drug portion of our unit. I classify it as illegal drugs. Um, the common drugs that we know about, like cocaine, heroin, bath salts, meth, those things. Yeah, we know those are illegal drugs, but also prescription drugs, excuse me, can be classified as an illegal drug. Over-the-counter drugs taken improperly can be an illegal drug. So we're just going to briefly talk about these things. I will have quite a few YouTube videos that will be linked to this discussion to help you understand some of the characteristics of certain drugs that we'll talk about. So generally, drug abuse, the intentional, improper, or unsafe use of a drug. On the first slide with the legal drugs, there's 6 different bullet points. Um, Illegal drugs have dangerous permanent effects on the brain and the body. You can become addicted. They're a major risk factor or major factor in suicides, accidents like motor vehicle accidents, and definitely crime. Being involved with risky activity like sharing needles, getting hepatitis B, HIV. It could result in an overdose. Overdose is taking too much of a drug, which can cause sickness, loss of consciousness, permanent health damage, or even death. And then, while under the use of illegal drugs, people lose ability to make responsible decisions that can have them be unsafe or put other people at risk. Second thing, why do people begin using? This will be a common theme with the other parts of our unit: experimentation, express or escape depression and boredom. People are risk takers. The big one with drugs can solve personal, social, medical problems. They think, when we talk about medical marijuana, people believe that medical marijuana will help with certain things, certain avenues, peer pressure, and then glamorization of drug use by the media. When we, in Unit 1, talked about how the media can affect your components, right here is a great example. Music videos, movies, they glamorize drug use, and people begin using drugs because of that. Normally, I break this up into 2 different days, but we're just going to briefly go through some illegal drugs. First one's marijuana, and you can say, well, it's not an illegal drug now. Yeah, I know the state of Illinois has accepted the recreational marijuana, but if you have too much of it or you're under the influence of it and you're driving in a vehicle, definitely it could be an illegal drug. Some effects: slowed thinking ability, difficulty paying attention, distorted sense of time and distance, giddiness or happiness, loss of short-term memory, loss of balance and coordination, increased appetite, anxiety, and panic attacks. You will notice some of the effects of marijuana use will be similar to some of the effects of alcohol use. Both of them will be classified as a depressant in our drug categories. Second one is inhalants, anything that you can inhale as vapors. Probably a common thing that people might think about is if you recently painted a house or painted a room in your house, and you can smell the fumes from the paint. Sometimes that gets you dizzy, lightheadedness, those things. Inhalants, we don't hear too much about it anymore, but it does happen. The thing about inhalants is a lot of the things in your house can be used as inhalants, and that's a scary thing, especially for young people. The third one, classification, is club drugs. Probably the most common one would be ecstasy. When we talk about club drugs, a lot of club drugs are used in sexual assault cases. If Barb was here, she would talk to you about those things. In other words, GHB, that's something clear liquid, a powder that they put in drinks. Again, very readily used for date rape, which is a very scary thing. Last one, ketamine. I like pointing this one out because this is a pet tranquilizer. People use it for the hallucinations, numbness, loss of memory, things like that. And then the second part of the section that we talk about is anabolic steroids. I like talking about these as being a coach. There are side effects specifically for men and for women, and there's effects that either sex could have. Just a few things I want to go through. Stunted growth, if you take it when you're young. In males, that shuts down your normal testosterone production, shrinks the testes, reduce sperm count, could cause you to grow breast. In females, facial hair, toughening of the skin, deepening of the voice, disrupted menstrual cycle. For both, roid rage, hyperactivity, feeling of paranoia, panic attacks, depression, leading cause of suicide as well, or a cause of suicide. Then we get into drugs that could be used as for medical purposes, for prescriptions. People with ADHD, they use Ritalin. That's one example of a medicine. People that do not need it, it causes a different effect to people that do use it for ADHD purposes. Depressants, people use that for sleeping, helping people go to sleep. Opiates we use for surgery, but all these categories, if misused, can become very addicting. So, with a stimulant, we talked already about tobacco and nicotine. Probably the most common stimulant around here is methamphetamine, extremely popular. If Officer Burton was here talking to you about it, he would tell you that meth is our number one problem, besides marijuana. Another stimulant, crack cocaine. We don't see a lot of it. He says to our groups, so we don't really talk too much about it. Depressants. Marijuana is a depressant. Alcohol is a depressant. Slows your breathing, brain activity. A lot of cough medicines are depressants. DXM specifically, that's a legal ingredient in cough syrup, but people use it to get that hallucinogenic feeling. Opiates, the most popular opiate is heroin. Again, I'll have a video on this that you can watch that sees some side effects of heroin use. And then the last category is hallucinogen. You don't see too much of this. It is, Officer Burton says it is increasing in numbers with our teens, like LSD, but that has just been recent. With hallucinogen, it distorts the perception, gives the user experiences that are not real. That's why kids use it. Within the videos I show you, I will have a video on bath salts, which is not as popular as it was 5 years ago. I will show you a video that has what we call bath salts on steroids. It's called Flocka. And then I'll have some specific videos on some of the drugs that we've talked about. If you have questions on this discussion, please do not hesitate to contact me. Have a good day.